What happens when a world-class nutritionist uses blood panels, cellular biology, and fact-based science to create and monitor healthy eating plans with supplements for her clients? Everyone wins. Welcome to Power on Your Plate with Haylie Pomroy, an educational experience that gives you both the actionable and practical tools you can use every day to get your health, weight, and life back on track.
I want to first welcome you to the classroom, or as I call it, my kitchen. We do have a couple of students here today that are joining me in person. If any of you guys are interested at all in ever participating in an in-classroom session, make sure that you post over here for my team that you would like to be considered to come and actually raise your hand in the classroom, help me out in my kitchen, and work together in healing your metabolism. Today, I want to talk about a very important subject, and a subject that I work with all of my clients that come into the office and that we talk a lot about in our community. We're going to talk about the pH. But just like with all of my books, we're not going to talk about theory of pH. We're going to actually talk about how you can do some at-home self-diagnostics, how you can challenge your body and see how it adapts or responds to that challenge, as well as ways that you can be curious and in awe of what your body tells you, and then what proactive approaches you can take to the variations in your pH. The other thing that I want to cover today as we're in the classroom is I want to cover a little bit of business about different ways that you can interact with myself and my team. Of course, I hope that you already have all of your books, because these are like textbooks. These are like playbooks. These are things that actually have the practical solutions to looking at your metabolism, to looking at what's going on in your metabolism. Maybe it's slow, maybe it's sluggish, maybe you've developed some disease or dis-ease in the body because you can't maintain a homeostasis, and your body's doing the very best job that it can to create very best health potential. And maybe we can actually exploit amazing food and incredible micronutrients to make that health potential even greater. So there's a couple ways to interact with us. Of course, we love having you in the classroom. It is so important that we work together and we kind of science geek out and discover what's going on in our bodies. We also have a private membership section of our website. If you go to the website, HayliePomroy.com, you will see a little section that says members. All of you guys that are already members know exactly how to log on and what to do, but please join me in welcoming individuals that are considering being a member. And know that I'd love to host you for 30 days for free. We do this because we feel that there is such significant value in that community where individuals can share maybe more intimate struggles and stories and successes and trials and tribulations, where we can work a little more proactively through challenges and like a lemon challenge test that we're going to do here today in class, as well as giving the opportunity to have access when you have personal questions. We're going to go through how to challenge your body using lemons, a very acidic substance, and seeing a way that you can test your digestive reserves. Remember, the digestive reserves are so important because those are what take the macromolecules, like food, and create the micronutrients, like B vitamins, amino acids that help make all the magic in the metabolism. Don't worry, we're going to go over that more specifically in a minute. But we're going to be testing that, and those are the kinds of things that we do in our community. So join me free. That's the coupon code if you're not a member. If you're already a member, please right now, make a nice, lovely comment to those that are maybe just like learning about their metabolism, learning about how we can actually influence the metabolism, how the metabolism affects every aspect of their lives. Please remember when you first started this journey, in your health and wellness, how awesome it felt to have people include you in the process. The other opportunity that you have is, definitely we send several newsletters a week. I'm huge about, obviously you can see by my kitchen, I'm huge about cooking and I'm huge about recipes. So make sure that you're getting our free newsletter at HayliePomroy.com. Again, you'll see it's really simple. You sign up for the newsletter, and this week was lemon blueberry spelt scones. They were incredible. And I put on there how you could use our very popular strawberry jam preserve on top of it. I think I have lemon bars in this week, a lot of different great things, so make sure that you're doing that. And then the third is we are looking for individuals that would like to work directly with us, both here in the classroom and then also in a real live event We have individuals that are nutritionists and chiropractors and massage therapists. We have individuals that have never incorporated the concepts of fast metabolism diet that are going to be new to this process, but are really looking for something to make a change in their lives. And so they're going to be joining us for 7 days. We have some of my clients that have been with me for years and years. We have individuals that have had success, and we have individuals that have been struggling for years, haven't been able to get the scale to move, haven't been able to improve their lives, change their lives, get rid of their pain, their inflammation, and they're really looking for a life opportunity, a life-changing opportunity, and a journey to go on with me. So I wanted to go over all those different levels of kind of interaction. And as we start class today, I have a question for our classroom. Show of hands for those of you that are here and those of you that are out in our cyber world. If you would let me know, have you guys ever tested your pH before? Have you ever used a nitrazine strip and tested either urine or saliva? If you have, which one do you test? Do you typically test urine first morning, second void? Do you typically test saliva? What do you do when you check pH, and are you familiar with it at all? I also want to know if you don't even know what the heck we're talking about. We're going to start from the basics because we can always improve on what we already know and grow together so that we can, again, make those true lifelong changes in the body. So if you guys can go ahead, I'm just going to peek over here. I want to know, has anybody ever tested their pH before? Has anybody ever tested urine or saliva pH? It's really important for us because we can reach out and make sure that you guys get more data or more information, and a little person over here giving me kind of a little bit of insight into their pH to find out what is going on in your body. So let me talk a little bit about pH to start. So when we look at pH, a lot of people talk about a spectrum, right? We go from being very acidic, like a lemon, or even vinegar. Even though we use apple cider vinegar a lot to alkalinize the body, vinegar itself is very acidic, if you taste it, to being very alkaline. Alkaline or basic is what they'll call. So we have acid and we have alkaline. Alkaline is things like baking soda, sodium bicarb is very alkaline. The ocean is very alkaline. So think of things that are very rich in minerals. They're very alkaline. We look at salt. Table salt can create acidity in the body, where like sea salt can actually create an alkalinity in the body. So we look at it, pH as a whole. What is the pH? Neutral, right in the middle, is 7. Anything below a 7 is considered acidic. Anything above a 7 is considered alkaline or basic. I think, as I've gone through and watched a lot of individuals teach about the pH and the impact of modifying the pH in the body, one thing that really is important that I want to make sure that we all grasp as a community is that we are looking to create a homeostasis of wellness in the body. And our blood pH has to stay stable. The blood pH is typically between a 7.35 to a 7.45. So we have like 1/10 of a point, which is a very small value, to be able to modify the pH to create a homeostasis in the body through all of the different biochemical processes that happen, or we die. So when there's that much fragility in the ability for the blood pH to change, and remember, we can go from 1 to 14, but the blood pH has to stay right there, just a smidge alkaline at a 7.35 to a 7.45. When it only has that little bit of room there, how do we use the rest of our body to create a homeostasis or strengthen that? And when we go off in other areas of our body, how much stress does that cause in the blood? And the blood is, the giver of life. The B cells deliver the micronutrients. We have hemoglobin where it delivers oxygen. I mean, it is vital. It's not something that obviously we can do without. And it's something that if it's healthy and the chemistry of the blood is healthy, it is much easier to make changes in the metabolism. So with the blood pH having to stay so stable, a lot of people walk around and say, oh my gosh, I'm so acidic. Or, I take alkaline water to alkalinize my body. But what is it that we're really talking about? What we're talking about is the other excrements of our body through breath, through urine, through saliva. How can we use all of those variables to allow the blood to stay at homeostasis? It's going to stay at homeostasis where you're at here, right? But how do we allow it to be at homeostasis with the most harmony and the least stress as possible? All of the organs in our bodies, the pancreas, which produces an alkaline ash, the liver, which produces bile salts that are very alkalinizing, the stomach that produces stomach acids that is very acidifying, the urine, the saliva, and the breath, all of those things work together and hopefully in harmony, again, to keep that blood critically stable. So I have a lot of doc friends that I work with that get very frustrated because in a lot of the integrative therapies, we talk a lot about pH, and the docs come in and say, what do you keep? This is crazy. People can't modify their pH because if they did, they would die. Well, they're talking about blood, and what a lot of other people are talking about is other aspects of the body. And that's what I want to talk about today. So when I test pH with clients and we start to look at it holistically, today we're going to start really basic. We test both urine, saliva, and sometimes we also do breath and tears. Today we're going to focus on the saliva and what that means, and we're going to start to unpackage how your body is utilizing the different organs, systems, functions, hormone secretions, and enzyme secretions to create that homeostasis with as least stress as possible. Remember, when you put stress on the body, or when stress has been put on the body, it takes more energy and effort to create homeostasis. So you're going to create homeostasis again in the blood or we're all out of here. But how can we do it with as little effort as possible? Talk about creating the homeostasis with as least stress as possible. We can become more and more efficient, food for fuel, as well as fat for energy and fuel. So that's why this is really important. I'm going to pop up a sheet for you, and you can download it. They're going to have the link. We can also email it to you after class. And if you're watching this at a later date, make sure that you look for the link, because this is going to be something you're going to want to download. This is something that I do with my clients very early on, and it's called the Lemon Challenge Test. And it's really, how are your salivary or your upper GI digestive reserves working? All right, how many people do we have out here? A lot of people tested their pH. Have you guys tested your pH? It's kind of a fun thing to do. We have pH strips. We have them on our website, but you can really they're called nitrazine strips. You can get these at most pharmacies, most drugstores. They're going to have a pH monitor, and you can see there's all these different colors. The more the yellow, it takes it to a 5.5 on this one, and the more the alkaline, it takes it to an 8.0. Remember, that 7's right in the middle. These little strips are called nitrazine strips. I never recommend you put them directly in your mouth. You want to use a plastic spoon, preferably, not a sterling silver spoon, not obviously an aluminum spoon. Remember, when minerals are secreted, and they are secreted in our silver, it can manipulate or change the pH reading. So you want to make sure you get a plastic spoon and a nitrazine strip, and you're going to spit in the spoon, and no, I'm not going to do that on camera, and you're going to put the nitrazine strip right into your saliva. So what we're testing here is, if I challenge the body, how much reserve does the body have to come back to homeostasis? So in order to keep that blood stable, just a little bit alkaline, the saliva and the urine is just ever so slightly acidic. If the saliva pH goes too alkaline, we have a tendency to break down the mucosal lining, and we see individuals get canker sores, ulcers, heartburn, more prone to fever blisters, viral outbreaks, things of that nature. If it gets very acidic, we see individuals that have a lot of cavity, a lot of gritting of the teeth. Sometimes when your babies or your children are teething, you'll see that their pH gets really alkaline in the saliva and they drool. I don't know if you guys remember that when your kids were little. I do. You're constantly wiping things up. Those are those proteolytic enzymes that are helping break down the gums so that the tooth can erect. That's a normal, natural, healthy process. Once our teeth are all in and we're planning on keeping them, we want our pH to stabilize. And only episodically, when we eat and consume food, should our enzymes change that pH. You're going to need to be at home to do this typically. I would like you to make sure that you have nothing in your mouth. Here I say take the test approximately 2 hours after eating. In this test, you're going to be measuring your saliva pH upwards of 6 times, 1 minute intervals. So you're going to do this at home, and then you guys are going to come back and you're going to post and you're going to let us know what the heck went on in your body. And then you're going to join the membership, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about what to eat about it. And if you want to monitor your pH for 7 days and you want to do the whole encompassing holistic aspect of looking how to utilize this data along with a lot of other self-diagnostics and potential laboratory diagnostics that you could accompany yourself with. Okay, so getting started. I'm going to have you keep this sheet up here for a second. And what you want to do is you want to test your pH. Again, I have not eaten for 2 hours. I'm testing my saliva pH prior to eating anything. I just tested my pH. And if I go over here, I'm right about between a 6.6 and a 6.8. Maybe even a little more of a 6.5, 6.6. I think it's wishful thinking. I'd like to see myself at a 6.8. So that gives me of a stable pH. What is my salivary enzymes doing? Are they acidic? Are they alkaline? When I haven't eaten, I haven't consumed food, what's my baseline? And you're going to write that right in your sheet. Your pH prior to testing, I'm going to call mine a 6.6. So what we're looking for here is whatever your baseline is, even though the ideal is a 6.8, whatever your baseline is, how strong or how vested or how secure is your body in that number? And the way we're going to do that is we're going to expose the body to a lot of acid. Again, remember, lemons are acidic, vegetables are alkaline forming. But one thing that I want to tell you is that even though lemons are acidic, you'll see what happens in our pH challenge test. The body stimulates an alkaline ash to create a homeostasis. So oftentimes when you hear people that are working on their digestion and their pH, they'll actually consume lemons. Even though they're acidic, again, it's not just what you consume, it's what the micronutrient evokes in the body as a response to the consumption of that. So for example, I use a lot of lemon water, but I add, like in this mason jar, I would add 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar as a digestive aid. And I would probably drink this, I probably do about a cup every day. One of the reasons why I like to make this in a large batch, and why, if you notice, I leave the lemon peels in there, is one of the reasons why lemon stimulates an alkaline ash is because there are a lot of bioflavonoids in the lemon peel, rutin, things, obviously vitamin C, but things that stimulate the pancreas to produce an alkaline ash. Remember, the pancreas is so important in the metabolism because the pancreas also produces insulin, helps to stabilize the blood sugar, gets you into that sweet spot where you burn fat, you don't store fat for later, sugar in your fat. When I first consume lemon, you will see I'll test my pH, and typically what happens immediately afterwards is the body is very acidic, the saliva is very acidic. And the goal here is for my body to very quickly rebound back to a 6.6. We'll see what happens. Sometimes the body will rebound and swing the other way and go very alkaline. That means that's very important to us. It'll tell us a lot about your body. And sometimes the body will swing the other way and have a difficult time coming out of that acidity, and it'll take minute after minute after minute of testing where our bodies can't really, I guess I would say, rebound or create a homeostasis from that challenge very quickly. So in a second, I'm going to do the actual lemon challenge test. But I just wanted to talk to you about the pH really quick again. Remember, in order to create stability in the pH, we see sometimes that people talk a lot about acidity in the body. We can also go the other direction and have alkalinity in the body when you're testing against saliva or urine. Alkalinity can mean a hyperproduction in enzymes, a secretion of minerals at a rapid rate. So think of demineralization, things like osteoporosis, osteopenia. It's very important to test the pH. There are organs of enzyme promotion like the pancreas, the kidneys, the adrenals. If you're extremely stressed, remember, those are the glands that help regulate that homeostasis with ease. If you've been stressed, for a long period of time, they will create homeostasis through crisis hormones, not through feel-good hormones. And so it's really important that we kind of measure and check this. This is a great way for me to be able to test the pH. I am going to take a bite. Oh, I already feel my parotid gland starting to constrict and the salivary enzymes starting to form in my mouth just by smelling this lemon. But I'm going to go ahead and take a bite. Whoa! For those of you that are doing this with me, I'm sorry. And I'm going to check my pH. I want to show you guys the difference in my saliva pH, okay? I'm going to see if I can set a timer here. I'm going to give myself about so we can do this a little quicker, I'm going to give myself a 2-minute window. Typically, when we check this, we check it at the 1-minute mark, the 2-minute mark. You'll see on your sheet 3, 4, 5, and 6 minutes. That lemon got to me. Okay, I want to show you before the lemon and after the lemon. You'll see that there's quite a bit of acidity in my saliva right now. When that goes off, we're going to recheck it. My dream is that I have a lot of digestive reserve and that I'm maintaining the homeostasis in my blood because all the rest of my body has the minerals, the enzyme secretion, the hormone balance. I've had enough alkaline vegetables. It's not that the vegetables themselves, that their pH is alkaline. What happens with vegetables is that they have phytonutrients or live enzymes in them when you consume them, especially in a raw state, that helps your body have the enzymes that create a homeostasis. If you ever thought that your vegetables or your fruits still don't have enzymes, try bruising them and watch how quickly, with that micro trauma, watch how quickly they start to break down in those areas. That is part of the live enzymatic process in your fruits and vegetables. Okay, when you're testing the saliva pH, why is it so important that your salivary enzymes stay stable or are functional and again, ever so slightly alkaline? That is because it is the first place that your body takes the macronutrients, protein, and converts it into amino acids, complex carbohydrates, and fats, and turns those into the micronutrients and extracts it. And remember, it's the micronutrients that stimulate the metabolism. So when I have a client come in, and they come in and we do the lemon challenge test, first of all, we should take pictures together with pucker faces, but it's real interesting what we find. When the shorter the amount of time that the individual comes back into homeostasis, remember, ultimately, we do a holistic pH testing with, before exercise, after exercise, before meals, after meals. We do blood sugar testing, things of that nature, holistically to look at the entire system. But the first thing that I want to know is, does this individual have the capacity to take food, preferably high quality food, and convert it into the micronutrients necessary to heal the metabolism? Because if this part isn't stable and we don't correct this early on, it makes it extremely difficult to metabolize the macronutrients. So really, when those individuals, I find those clients that come in and they've tried every diet and they're eating incredibly healthy food, or on the other spectrum, they have created an unhealthy relationship with food neurochemically, where their body doesn't like the taste of fruits or vegetables. Their palate is very bland. We've got to revitalize or stimulate those micronutrients. So those are the enzymes that can create the stability that can break those down. And as soon as this one goes off, there we go. And we do one more test. That was not a very loud dinger. So at the first testing, I was at a 5.0. We are now 2 minutes in, and I was at a 6.4. I'm actually really proud of my digestive reserve. I want to give you 3 things that I do to enhance my digestive reserve. And we can test it one more time, because I want to make sure I don't actually overcompensate. I have a tendency to do that a little bit. I have a tendency to try to be a little bit of an overachiever. My enzymes have FOMO, fear of missing out, fear of not doing it aggressively well. I'm going to go 1 more minute here, and I'm going to test it one more time and make sure that it's actually stabilized. It's not just going to swing the other direction. because that's just as important of information. So what I want you guys to do is when you test your pH and you do your lemon challenge test, I want you to make sure that you're posting what happened. What happened right after you tested the lemon? What happened at the 1 minute mark, 2 minute mark, all the way to the 6 minute mark? They say if you aren't stabilized by the 6 minute mark, we have you go ahead and wait 30 minutes and test it, or we do it in 5 minute increments, excuse me guys, in order for us to make sure that you actually stabilize. So there's 3 super important things that I do. Number 1 is I'm very conscientious about chewing my food. Remember, when you chew your food, you're not only stimulating all the salivary enzymes, but by breaking down those macronutrients into tiny particles, you aid the metabolism. You speed the metabolism up so much by simply chewing your food, because you already deliver them into the stomach and for support with the pancreas and the liver and the gallbladder in a much smaller particle. So it actually increases the surface area for your body and your enzymes to be able to attack those macromolecules and release the micronutrients from it. So chew your food. Happy Birthday to Me is the song that I sing between bites. So I actually work really, really diligently on that. The other thing is I do support my body with digestive aids. And I'm going to check my pH one last time and make sure that I've stabilized at about a 6.6. And what I want you guys to know is that it is not abnormal at all if you're not working on your metabolism. You know, I have an autoimmune disorder. My kitchen is my classroom. My kitchen is also my pharmacy. If you guys can't see this, my pH is completely stabilized to where I started. I'm very happy with my digestive reserves. This is what's supposed to happen. I'm glad that this happened in class. Sometimes, you guys, it doesn't work with the teacher. It works out very well for the teacher. This time it did. But I will tell you that having an autoimmune disorder, have been born, should have been turned in on the lemon law, with a bleeding disorder, a chronically slow metabolism, a propensity towards hormone problems. I do work very, very diligently and hard on this. So let me go over the 3 things that I do. 1, I eat lots and lots of fruits and vegetables. I make sure that my portions in my kitchen, I have more refrigeration space for fruits and vegetables and live foods than I do pantry space. When I designed my kitchen, it was one of the things that they kept commenting on. Well, you need space for your pantry. I said, I don't need packaged foods. I need real foods. The other thing is I have a double freezer, and that's because my freezer is full of foods that I've packaged instead of foods that somebody else has packaged. So I've made them, I have frozen them. They're full of herbs and spices. I always add salts and mineral based salts after I've cooked, so I don't break down all those amazing alkalinizing micronutrients that are found in live whole salt products like sea salts, Celtic salts, Himalayan salts. I do lots of fruits and vegetables. I do digestive aids like lemon in my water. I use apple cider vinegar. Again, that's a really great one. And I take digestive enzymes. So in your lemon challenge test, what happens if your body goes extremely alkaline? That's why I retested mine. I went further even though I had stabilized. What happens in those situations is the body has a tendency to be hyper-producing enzymes in response to a stress response. So the stress response here we're going to call is the lemon, right? But imagine your body feeling grounded and strong and physically fit, and someone walks by and they nudge you, and you don't budge because you are, again, strong, you're grounded. They're opposite, force to your position wasn't enough to knock you over and topple you. Let's say that maybe, you're exhausted, you're fatigued, you've had a lot of stress. In our community, we talk a lot about different things that can be stressful in the body. And someone, passes you and they knock you, and they can pretty much knock you down, right? Sometimes in those situations, you can topple over and fall down. And in response, you get up and you're angry and you're agitated. If you're really weak, you'll get knocked down and you'll stay down. So if the pH stays acidic and you can't rebound quickly when you've challenged yourself with the acidity of the lemon. What that is an indication with my clients is that there's a lot of fatigue in the hormone system. I worked in the fertility industry for a long time. We have individuals that have elevated FSH in these situations. They have irregular periods. It's can be discomforting, just uncomfortable periods, mood swings, hot flashes, more depressive feelings. When individuals swing the other way and they have a lot of strong alkalinity response after being challenged, again, those individuals typically have a lot of more inflammatory responses, agitation, frustration. Both can create inflammation in the body. One has a tendency to be what we would call more fluid-filled inflammation, like swelling. The other has a tendency to be more degradative or degenerative inflammation, like osteoporosis or osteopenia. And so it's really important that we stabilize this. So I want to just make sure, I've got a couple, people are holding up a couple things over here with questions. Is anybody out there, everybody's following me, right? We've got to keep the blood will stay stable. It's not that we have to keep the blood stable. The blood's staying stable or we're out of here. We can go acidic or we can go alkaline with our breath, our tears, our saliva, our urine. There's ways to test how our body responds to stressors. This one test that we do is a lemon challenge test. The reason why we do this very early on in our visits with people is to see, it gives us a kind of a self-diagnostic, a way to look at how we take macromolecules or food in the first place and begin to break it down into micronutrients. If we need to add any micronutrients in, like potentially digestive enzymes, there's a way to check if probiotics would be beneficial. How much do we need to, an individual, let's say like on phase 2 of the fast metabolism diet, how much do you need to keep your pH stabilized when you're increasing your protein content? That would be, again, dependent on your digestive reserve, right? So you're going to need to get some pH strips. Again, we have them on our website at HayliePomroy.com. You can absolutely go and get some at most of the drugstores, but they are not keto strips. They're not blood sugar strips. We do play with those when we're looking at some self-diagnostic stuff. You will want to make sure, if you guys have any questions, make sure that you ask. Do we have any out there?
There was actually a really good question. Mm-hmm. So they do take your enzymes?
Yes.
Should they wait a little bit? How long should they wait before they do this test if they take the enzymes?
Right.
Or will it affect the test?
Right. Yes, the enzymes can definitely affect the test. So it's one of the reasons why we use a non-vegan based enzyme, because the goal is not to just stabilize the pH by adding something in there into that, chemistry experiment that is your body that helps to stabilize it. But what we want to do is put a nutrient in there that actually helps stimulate your digestive reserve. So that's why, again, this is the one, we get it out of Europe, the raw ingredient. And, it's for me in my clinic, my goal is to help heal the metabolism, not just put something in that is a long-term crutch. I guess that's kind of how I would look at it. So absolutely, if you're taking the enzymes, you want to make sure that you wait for 2 hours. And individuals that have a stable pH, so we use the enzymes a little bit differently too. Individuals that have a tendency to stay acidic longer with the lemon challenge test, we make sure that they do their digestive enzymes before meals. Individuals that swing really alkaline post their lemon challenge test, we actually have them do their digestive enzymes between meals. So it would be an hour to 2 hours, usually about an hour split to 2 hours between the meals, so that we already have activation in the bile, more activation or excitation in the bile salts in the small intestine, in the alkaline ash in the pancreas. We give that the opportunity, and then we come in with the digestive enzyme. And you'll see that with individuals that take digestive enzyme to reduce inflammation, swelling. So for example, I had a client that had a psoriatic osteoarthritis, and she had significant swelling and inflammation, was really prone to strep infections. And it was so difficult. It took us a long time to get her digestive reserves stable and her pH stable. And she actually invested, you can get a pH tester that is electronic, and you can, utilize it in the urine. The nitrazine strips are great. They're super inexpensive. Again, don't put it directly in your mouth. I think there's 50 or 100 of them in here. I'm not sure, but there's a lot in these packets. And I have clients that test these, while we're trying to create a homeostasis, and they'll even cut these in half. If you have a tendency to start out alkaline, we want to look at things, and especially if you have elevated eosinophils, we want to look at parasitic stress, candida stress. Usually there is some sort of kind of underlying pathogenic, stress response in the body, where the body's constantly trying to secrete proteolytic enzymes to help break down or fight potential infection. The other thing to look at with digestive reserves when you're testing salivary enzymes is bite, is fractured amalgams, especially if you have silver fillings. We can have significant alkalinity in the saliva if an individual has a cracked filling or there's any leaking in the filling. If their bite is off or not effective, we have company today. There's people that, dentists that specialize in that. And that was really important. I did, after a car accident, I did a lot of cranial sacral therapy, and they worked inside the mouth. And I was amazing how much that actually helped my digestion and metabolism. So do we have any other great questions? How long do you stay on enzymes? So, okay, how long do you stay on enzymes? Everybody's body's different. I am a proponent for digestive enzymes, and probiotics are a real staple in my life and in my health. I have taken probiotics and digestive enzymes, in covered wagon times. No, when I was probably about 2022, when I was first diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder, I was diagnosed at 19 after hemorrhaging from a tonsillectomy. They thought it was hemophilia, but it's antiplatelet antibodies. It's actually where your body attacks its own platelets. And because of that, through diagnostics like dark field microscopy, what I found was I had a lot of what they would call soot in the blood, or because of having a propensity towards having large platelet volume, as well as low platelets in general. If I don't really work on my enzymes, I go towards inflammation very easily. And then having had a car accident, when I had 7 procedures from this side of my face over, sometimes you guys will see when I get tired, this side of my face gets a little tired, extra tired. I'm really diligent and conscientious about that. So I take digestive enzymes every day. I feel like I invest a lot of money in the food that I eat, and it helps me, feel like I can squeeze out and extract every micronutrient from the food that I invest in, as well as it really does help me personally for inflammation. Most individuals, most clients that don't either have had years of their metabolism being off, aren't under. When individuals are under extraordinary stress, we really see their digestive reserves go off. But if things are feeling pretty good and your metabolism feeling pretty good, I would say that, typically in a high protein meal, it'd be a great addition. And, chewing your food, making sure your bite's right, making sure all your fillings, there's the test that the dentist can do where you, kind of put your teeth back and forth and make sure that the bite is right. There's a Boyd-Haylie test, I like the name, that can check where they go up into the gums and can check for any dysbiosis or bacteria in the gums. There's a lot of different things that you can test for if you and we'll talk a lot about this. And if you guys want to talk about this more in our community, I'm so happy to be teaching class. And thank you, Sally. I love that question. So for myself, and simply because I find when I don't take digestive enzymes, this is what happens to the carbohydrates that I eat, except for it's in the back pocket of my pants. I'm getting laughed at by my class. I get really lumpy bumpy really easily, even on the front of my shins, the back of my arms. And I love the complex carbs. Again, I'm very physical and very active. I lift, I buck bales of hay. I lift our feed sacks, which are 40 to 60 pounds. I'm hauling a 35-foot horse trailer. I need the complex carbs. My brain needs the complex carbs, but when I don't take enzymes, I don't do this, I do this. And again, I mean, really fast. One of my favorite phases on the fast metabolism diet, and typically where I lose most of my weight, is on phase 1, actually. And when I'm super stressed, I do the phase 1 intensives, like right away. That's where I go to. But I will tell you, for me, again, in my body, if I don't do that, I don't get this lovely rebound in my digestive reserves. And so I hope that helps. Any other questions before I kind of wrap it up for the day? It was awesome having you guys in class. I want to just summarize a couple things. First, I want to give you options of ways to interact more with me. We will be teaching more classes. So please make sure in the comment section that I want to go deeper into the pH. I want to hear what happens to your body in the lemon challenge test in the privacy of your home as you are checking your pH and you're biting into a lemon. I want to see all your sweet pucker photos. But I want to know what other topics you'd like me to talk about. I thought I would take you through the process as if you're a client of mine. And this is one of, again, the first most critical steps that we make sure that you can actually take food and convert it into micronutrients. Because it's the micronutrients that stimulate the metabolism, for myself and my health, it's one of the reasons why, in a very early age, I became pretty diehard on supplementation. You know, it's something that my family takes advantage of. We all take our multivitamin, again, probiotic, the enzymes. It's something that I've used for my clients for strategic health. But one of the ways that, we don't want to just say, everybody should do everything, because your body is actually giving us so much data and information. And so when your body's struggling, don't be mad or frustrated or angry. Lean in even more. Be in awe that it's doing everything that it can to create that homeostasis in the blood of the pH, and know that its struggle is actually its action in saving you and saving your life so that you can have another day to learn more about your body and more about your metabolism and be and have that intimate conversation with your body and its biochemistry and learn how to use foods and micronutrients and herbs and supplements and dry skin brushing and sauning, all those lovely things that you can actually nurture your body to evoke the change without the stress. And so that's what we're going for here.
Thank you for listening to another inspiring episode of Power on Your Plate with Haylie Pomroy. Please remember to share the amazing science and tools with someone you love. The more we know, the more we all lift our global health together. Visit www.hayliepomroy.com to get notes from today's show and to take your education and health to a new level of success and happiness.
Information on this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for the advice provided by your physician or other healthcare professional, or any information contained on or in any product label or packaging. You should not use the information on this podcast for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease, or prescribing any medication or other treatment. You should always speak with your physician or other healthcare professional before taking any medication or nutritional, herbal, or homeopathic supplement, or adopting any treatment for a health problem. If you have or suspect that you have a medical problem, promptly contact your healthcare provider. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking professional advice because of something you've heard on this podcast. Information provided on this podcast and the use of any products or services purchased as a result of this podcast does not create any type of professional relationship between you and any of the associates affiliated with this podcast. Information and statement regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.